y'all, welcome. I am Hope here at Crafty Hope, and I am working in this little board book that I am altering as part of my 100-day project for 2024. This year I am working on what I'm calling my Not Precious project. And that means I am taking items from my stash that I have, for some reason or other, deemed too precious to use previously. And as such, I've just piled up and hoarded things for ages. So I had a bunch of really beautiful eco-dyed and vintage papers in my stash that I worked on putting on this board book. This is day 9 of this 100-day project, and I started on this book. I don't even know I don't know what day it was. I will have links to day 1, and then later on I will have links to day 2, but I'm going to have a whole playlist for this year's 100-day project below. So anyway, in this video, I'm working on the first spread of this little board book. And as you can see, first thing I did was repair some of the papers that had torn in it. And in the center, you could see the white of the board book right in that crease. So I'm doing my best to kind of cover up that white. First, I put down some Stabilo all pencil and activated it with water. And then I've got a bit of, I believe that's rust dyed coffee filter that I'm putting over it. And I'm using that because it's thin and pliable and less likely to tear because it's a little more pliable. So from there, this is one of those papers I had set aside. It's something I picked up at an antique store. It was a whole container, this big tin of vintage papers from the Gulf Mobile and Ohio Railroad, which my grandfather worked for when my mom was little. No, is that right? No, I'm sorry. My great-grandfather worked for, my grandmother's father worked for the GM&O Railroad. So these have become too precious simply because of that. And, you know, I need to use them. They are wonderful. You can see how brittle they are. And I am using a little bit of fluid matte medium to stick it down. Here I'm sticking it over to do the cover and the clasp. I had drilled some holes and then stitched on some washers with embroidery floss. So I just want to cover that bit up so it doesn't influence this spread too much in its coloring. So yeah, I'm just getting this little bit of collage down. I'm going to bring in other precious elements. So you'll see here in a bit. Off on the right, there is a piece of lace. There's a whole section in here in a minute that was in this video that I took out because I ended up not using that lace at all. So in the meantime, I'm doing some more collage that is more of that rusty coffee filter. I'm putting in a couple places just to bring in that yummy rusty color. I believe that was just in my scrap box, so it's not like one of my precious papers or anything like that. Yeah, so here is that piece of lace. Like I said, I fussed with it and did some things to it and dried it and colored it and all, and it's not going to work its way into this page at all, so I've taken that out. All right, so this here is it's a pasta sauce jar that has some rusty bits and some black tea mixed together. I keep it in the fridge. It's basically like a dye or an ink or something, and I had pulled it out to use on that bit of lace that I showed y'all, and it was still sitting on my desk. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to use it to do some mark making in here. It makes some really luscious stuff. I think I learned that from Amy Bishop, maybe. I think that's right, but it's like a type of rust dye. So I picked out a photo while I was off camera, and then I'm dipping into this tin of all kinds of tickets and coupons and luscious stuff that is from Madison of Mad Fox Studios. I won this tin full of stuff. There was a bunch of other stuff in it that I've pulled out and put other places, but so I pulled out a ticket from there and a rusty safety pin from my stash. All of these are precious things to me that I'm like, nope, I'm using them. And so this book is getting loaded up with lots of precious things. That little photo was damaged, and I think that's what pulled me toward it, but it's this precious picture of this little boy and two little girls. I have to believe they're brother it's a brother and his two sisters. He's like holding their hands for the picture and everything. And I have torn it down just a little bit and I'm inking the edges. I'm using my ink blender and some walnut stain distress ink. Yeah, just to, it's already vintage, but where I tore it, the white kind of gets exposed and I wanted to keep it kind of that aged feel to it. So that's all I did there. And y'all, I do futz with the things I put in here for a while. I really liked this 10-cent ticket. The fact that it is 10 cents. I mean, what can you buy nowadays for 10 cents? Nothing. There's nothing you can get. So I really kind of wanted to keep that visible. I'm not sure that I did it in this, but yeah. So I've got some fabric. Have I pulled the fabric in yet? I think I pulled it out for a second. And there's that fabric. And I thought I wanted it kind of poking over the edge, but it's not going to happen in this particular page, but there'll be other pages. So, I really liked it because it still kept that 10 cents kind of visible when I put it over it. So I thought, okay, well, this would give a bit of texture over on this side. Yeah, and I'm playing with that safety pin, opening it, making sure it's functional and sturdy and thinking about what I can do with it. If I could stitch it to the edge, if I wanted to break out the drill again or go to the drill press and put some more holes in there and how I wanted to do this. So I kind of stepped away and looked at my stash and thought about what I had and what I liked. And I dipped into my Tim Holtz Botanicals. I think they're Field Notes Botanicals or something like that, along with some other Tim Holtz things. I don't remember what these are called, number something, but it's a whole stack of his ephemera pack that's all got like numbers on it. So I thought I would bring those in. These are some stickers from Your Creative Studio. I've got a video where I did an unboxing of, they sent me one of their subscription boxes. And so these luscious stickers were in there. And then I've got these like ruler stickers. I use those later. These ruler stickers, I think, in my snippet roll. But I have had those, oh my gosh, y'all, probably 20 years. Honestly, I've had those at least 20 years and not used them. So, yeah, so I am breaking them out and yeah, and I know this brand in particular I've used some of because when I bought them, I bought several different things. Anyway, it took me a minute to get it up and I'm going to put it down, just kind of pick a spot and put it down. And when I do, I realize that I did not like distress the edges of it in any way. So, and also, yeah, some of it was peeling up and they've been in my stash too long. So I added a little bit of Stabilo to one side of it just to distress it some because like I said, I didn't do that before I stuck it down and I wish I had, but that's okay. That's what a Stabilo is for. So once I get that down, I'm going to play with these little other bits for the longest time. I did not clip this down because, and y'all, this is pretty much how this page is going to go together. There are definitely some other little things that I'm going to bring into this. So stay tuned to see how I use these not precious items because at this point, they're all too precious to me. So I'm going to ink all of this up. That's that sticker from Your Creative Studio. I think I already inked the Tim Holtz things. Oh, and move things around. I don't even know what that is, but I was bound and determined to try to stick it down. Oh, what is it? I don't even know. I'm trying to, like, it's a sticker and I'm trying to peel it up and I think I get frustrated. Like, look at me. I'm like, no, stop. And so I went and grabbed some Tim Holtz, what is it? Decor tape or designer tape. I remember what it's called. It's washi tape. Because I wanted a couple little textural elements on there. And really, I'm just going to stick this one little piece. I tore it in half and I've put it down in two different places. There was something, I think, over on that right side I wanted to cover up. I'm not real sure. And now I'm going to create my stack. And I'm sticking my fabric to my photo. And then I will stick my little ticket to the back of that somehow at some point. Oh, y'all. I'm trying to hold it all together because, like I said, I really picked it up and yeah. And I think I'm going to end up really wanted that 10 cents to show. So, but it was, yeah, too much there. So I'm going to put it back. And you know what? I didn't ink that ticket. That's so crazy that I didn't ink that. All right. And so I've got that safety pin there, and I thought it was a great opportunity to add something else with texture to it. So I've got a couple of sequins here and a couple of beads that I'm just gonna stack on it. So, and again, this page in particular is neutral. Now the sequins I used are a pale silvery blue. You can't see it because the way they thread onto there is sideways, but then I used a little bone bead and a little wood bead, so neutrals. But as I work through this little journal, I'm adding color a little bit by little bit, and I don't think I intentionally did it, but it's exactly how this worked out. It evolved because I was using these precious things and finding a little bit more freedom in using them as I worked. So, yeah, this came together so wonderfully. All right, so I have decided to stitch that rusty safety pin onto that ticket and the photo and all of that. And I'm using some embroidery floss, pre-poking my holes, and just going around the side of the safety pin that doesn't unclasp. So, and that's how I'm attaching that to all of this. Now, I am covering up that 10 cents a little bit more after I had done all that futzing. But that's the thing, is I made that little ticket so precious that I didn't want to cover it up. And I have this video. I have the photos. I know I have another one of those tickets in that tin. I bet Madison has more of them I could get from her if I really asked her. So, yeah, it's okay. I'm good with it. So this safety pin is only attached with this. And part of that reasoning I wanted to stitch it is because there's not a whole lot of surfaces on a safety pin to add the glue. You've got the top portion and a little bit of the bottom, but the rest of it's a pin. And so you have to be super delicate with where you put your glue or it's going to show. So I felt like stitching really was a great way to stick it down. And yeah, and you can see I didn't even tie a knot to tie it off. I just slipped it under, and now I'm going to use Fabri-Tac and go over where I stitched it to glue that down, and then go over the rest of everything else that's on the back with the Fabri-Tac and stick it into my little journal. Or it's not a journal, it's my little board book. That's what it is. This is my altered board book as part of my series for my Not Precious project. All right, so that makes the left side of this page pretty much done. And now I need to turn to that right side. I will say that this spread isn't super cohesive in that like things are make sense together. Like I probably should have used a little bit of some of those numbers or another mushroom or something. I think the sentiment helps bring it together a little bit, but yeah. So I used a combination of Oohoo and the fact that one of those pieces was a sticker to stick all of this down. And then I went and looked for sentiment. So I've got a little international coffee. What is it? It's an old thing that used to be around in the 80s. It's got little snippets of words I've cut from all kinds of places. And I found this this little thing that I think I'd cut out from a book that says, "Show them the secret place." And I don't know, it was something about like that little boy holding the two little girls' hands and like he was going to lead them somewhere or help them do something. And I thought it was perfect. So I went ahead and inked that little scrap of words, and I'm messing around with like how to accent it so it doesn't get lost on there. And I went and I dipped into my lace stash and pulled out, y'all, this is probably my most precious of laces. It's still on a roll. I can tell you exactly where I bought it. I don't remember how much I paid, but the thrift store I bought it at hadn't been around in years. And and it says handmade real lace on it. I don't know. It's precious, or was, yeah. Trying to make it less precious. So I decided that is the perfect thing to accent this page. That little bit of lace with the little girls over there, and if you look close to the photos I share later, you may be able to see that like one of them's wearing a little necklace, and I love everything about it. So I used the Fabri-Tac again to stick down the lace. I let a little bit of it hang over the edge for that hanging over fabric element I want. And I'm using the Oohoo to stick down my sentiment. And I think is that going to be everything? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it's everything. Looking at the time I've got left on this video, I think that's everything. I hope you liked this. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Come back later to see what I do with the rest of this journal. And leave a comment if you've got any questions or anything. I would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.